This episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, kind of want to take a brief moment and look at the Carolina Panthers as we enter this offseason, folks. Not really going to talk about the draft, just going to talk about where we stand in the NFC South with Tampa, New Orleans, and Atlanta. Who's got the upper hand after a lot of these people have retired, coaches have quit. Where do we stand? Before we get into today's video, make sure you subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Hit that bell notification, be notified of future videos like this on the Panthers. Pound that like button. And hey, folks, leave me some comment. I love the dialogue. All right, folks, I just kind of want to look at things because since the last time I've been pretty busy with my job. And since the last time we talked, Sean Payton had stepped down, didn't really get into it. And now Tom Brady's retired, and it was kind of expected. So we really need to look at this division. Now, sometimes, and I've said it before on this channel, timing is everything. I mean, I didn't realize the other day when Joe Burrow, in his second year now, has led the Bengals to the Super Bowl. And they're so young, and the future looks so bright for them. But we said the same thing about Patrick Mahomes, like he was going to get into 5 straight Super Bowls, and that's not the case. But you look at them, and since they're making a Super Bowl now, it's the first time they won a playoff game this year since 1991. So you're talking 30 years, folks, 30 years, which basically means since the Panthers have been in existence, the Bengals hadn't won a playoff game. That's incredible. So with this success of being the worst team in the league 2 years ago and now being first, it's all about timing. Who's your number one pick? Do you get that quarterback with moxie? Or do you end up with a Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield or somebody who really isn't worthy of the number one pick? So what we want to look at is where do we stand? Well, number one, we're in coaching limbo. We know this Matt Rule could go to Michigan. Even if Matt Rule stays, which right now is probably our best bet to happen because the season's already ended and we'd be behind the 8 ball and replacing him as a head coach. And I've said it in other videos. The best thing we can hope for is that Matt Rule does come back for this 3rd year. And if it doesn't look like it's panning out, it doesn't look like progression's being made, doesn't look like he's turning the corner, that's when Tepper needs to get with Federer and they need to start finding a replacement ahead of time. I'm not talking about a week ahead of time or the day the season ends. I'm talking about having somebody that they feel can turn this franchise around, getting the right man in the job. And that's probably going to come between this off season and sometime early in the 2022 season. And that's what it's going to take if it's going to happen. Now, different things could happen. We could still choose the wrong guy. Matt Rule could leave us and we'd be stuck with an interim coach or a coach on the short term that's not going to be any better. Or Matt Rule can actually do well enough to keep his job for a while and be fool's gold and not work out in the long term. We just don't know what's going to happen. But timing's everything because our coaching staff and some of the front office personnel we have is kind of leaving us in limbo. Some of the free agents we need to address got us in limbo. Hassan Reddick was a decent signing. However, he's going to command a lot of money. Can we afford to bring him back? Will we bring him back? Stephon Gilmore. We're very deep at corner, or at least deep enough. Can we afford to bring him back? Because if we can afford to bring him back, we might as well bring Dante Jackson back. I'd rather have Gilmore, but Gilmore's going to command more money. So we gave up a late round draft pick for a guy that only played a half a season. It didn't help us win anything. So that might have been a mistake. And New England kind of, I would say, fleeced us, but more or less got the better end of the deal if that happens. Now, Dante Jackson might be out the door, depending on his payday. If somebody pays him, overpays him, we're just going to have to move on. Because with C.J. Henderson and maybe A.J. Bouye being here another year, and some of the young corners we got, and J.C. Horn, anything is possible. Now, we have to look at our division foes. First of all, I want to look at Atlanta. You know, Matt Ryan's getting older, but he still is decent and serviceable. You know, they've got the great tight end now that they got this year from Florida. And, you know, their core is not what it was. But remember, as bad as Atlanta might have been this past year, and maybe they are sinking down a little, Atlanta still finished with a better record than we did. We still split with Atlanta. And, you know, their coach did not really look the part that he was, going to be here long term. But he might have looked good enough, being a kind of a no-name guy coming in. Now, Atlanta right now might be the favorite if things turn out. Because if Matt Ryan can keep the consistency going, if they can kind of shed some of the calorie space they've got, if they can make up for this loss of Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley because of his mental health status, and their defense can get any better, Atlanta might be up ahead of us. It's going to be hard to say. Now, New Orleans, surely with Sean Payton leaving, it's put him at a disadvantage. But Dennis Allen's been a head coach before the Raiders. Is that going to be any better? New Orleans still has a pretty good kick-ass defense. And with Alvin Kamara, they still have a decent running back. Their offensive line's not bad. They're lacking the quarterback. They're lacking really, the salary cap is really kicking them in the butt right now as well. So by the time I'm trying to get to this point is if we drag our feet or we haven't got our coaching and our personnel correct and we don't do the right, if Scott Federer, the GM, doesn't do the right free agent signings, getting some bargain bin guys in, hitting some key free agents, making sure the ones we let go are the right ones to let go, retaining and holding on to the free agents of our own that are worth keeping. If he doesn't make the right choices, we're going to end up dragging bottom again, and we could fall behind in New Orleans or in Atlanta. Now, if New Orleans taking a step back, if Atlanta stays even keel, or if they take a step back, if we can move anywhere forward, might be to our advantage, and we might come out of this thing looking pretty good. But with everybody else taking a step back, if the Panthers do anything like they did from last year, Rule's first year to this year, we might be taking 2 steps back. That's going to leave the rest of the division who've taken a step back being more of a position to move forward than we are. That's the scary thing about it. We don't know yet. We also have to look at Tampa Bay. I think Bruce Arians is a poor man's Ron Rivera. And if they lose Todd Bowles, or if they lose Byron Leftwich, who's been rumored to go to Jacksonville, it might hurt them a little bit. And with Tom Brady retiring, that was the one thing that put him over the top. Now, if they can go get an Aaron Rodgers or even a Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe it doesn't hurt them too bad. Tampa's still got a good defense. Their offensive line is young and pretty good. They still got Mike Evans. Now, ever since Antonio Brown did his Forrest Gump episode and ran off the field, and really I think Antonio Brown kind of killed Tampa Bay's drive for the Super Bowl. Not that they would have got there, but I think that really showed me a sign on the wall that this team was probably done because they needed help at the receiver position. Can they retain Chris Godwin? What about Leonard Fournette? Some of these guys on defense want to get paid. So Tampa takes a step back because they can't pay everybody. They still have enough talent to be good. What we have to make sure is if Tampa does retain some of their talent, they keep the wrong ones. And they let the ones go they can't afford. There might be the ones they need to hang on to. And let's hope they have a bad draft and Bruce Arians resorts back to where he doesn't get the right quarterback in place. So it's kind of hard to say, folks. This division's up for grabs. Right now, if you ask me, I hate to say it, Atlanta's in the driver's seat. And not by much. But can we overtake Atlanta? Can we be that 1 or 2 games better than they were this year than us? Can New Orleans take a step back enough? Can it be coached? Can they start really hitting the wall because they don't have a quarterback? And what about Tampa? Will they lose enough when Bruce Arians losing some of his coordinators and Tom Brady take a step back as a coach as well? That's going to be the interesting thing, folks, because the timing is right here. It's right now. If we'd have done our situation where we would have played Teddy Bridgewater being a bridge quarterback and did things the right way and not mess with Darnold, who knows where we would be right now. But one thing's for sure, we don't have the quarterback in place that we need, and we desperately, even more than that, need to start doing that slow rebuild on our offensive line. I've said it before, we need a strong left tackle, move Brady Christensen inside, or as a backup at left tackle. We need a starting center. We need to get one out of this draft. That's the 2 biggest glaring needs I think we have. Quarterback, I think, is a crapshoot, and if we go that direction and it doesn't work, it's going to be really setting this franchise down for failure for a few years down the road. I also think that we're going to have to get a linebacker. We've got to get the first player we need on defense, whether it's free agency or in this draft, is a very good linebacker. And with the way the draft picks have, we don't have a second-round pick. If we don't trade down, it's going to be hard to find one. We're going to get lucky. And the other position I'd say we need depth along the line on defense, but I really think we need a safety. A really good safety if we can get in this draft to pair with Jeremy Chin. I think it will solidify our corners better and our secondary better than hold on to some of these expensive corners that we have on the roster currently. So, folks, what do you think of today's video? Do you see the Panthers maybe being able a chance to win this division? Do you see the Panthers falling and being in the cellar again? Leave me some comments. I love the dialogue. Pound that like button, hit that bell notification to be notified of future videos on the Panthers. And by all means, folks, help Uncle Chucky out. Subscribe. And we'll see you next time on another episode of Carolina Sports Guy.